What is going on, everybody? This is the Daily Fantasy Show brought to you by DFO. I am Josh. Let me see if I can fix this camera here. There we go. Um, we have a 3-game slate tonight. Short slate. We had a real interesting 12-gamer yesterday. Scoring was really weird. I don't think any line really did anything too much. As a whole, maybe Vegas 1 was the highest scoring line, and they were almost not owned because they're going against the 3M line of the Flames, so they weren't exactly the best play. Colorado 1 was a very good play until McKinnon got hurt. They still put up over 17 DK points. But we have a short 3-game slate tonight. One 7:30 start, two 8 p.m. starts. So let's get right into it. The first game of the night, we have the New York Islanders traveling to Toronto to face the Maple Leafs. Islanders are on a back-to-back. It's going to be Freddie Anderson against most likely Thomas Greiss, however you want to say it. The Leafs are going to be chalk tonight. There's no way around it. The good news for if you want to use the Leafs, they have 3 viable lines tonight. Matthews is still going to be really high owned, but I think, with 3 viable lines, the ownership should be a bit spread out. Can you fade Matthews tonight? I don't know. I think he's the top player on the board for sure. For me, it's between him and Burns, and Matthews is fresh, so I'm going to go Matthews. Are there ways to differentiate yourself with a Matthews lineup? Probably. I mean, you can 5-6-man stack the Leafs on DraftKings. I think that's a viable route. I think you can, use Hyman with Matthews. That's the full line. I think that will lower the ownership on that line. I think most people are going to go say, like, I don't know, Matthews, Nylander, and Riley. Or no, Riley's out. I mean, whoever's on the top power play. It could be Zaitsev, who's back. It could be Gardner. But I think if you use that full line, it will suppress the total ownership of that line despite Matthews being super high. But yeah, Zaitsev is 3,000 on DraftKings. That's super cheap. He's going to be really chalky if he does get power play time. DFO has him on power play 1 right now. I think it might have got reported somewhere, but Babcock is talking soon, so we should know fairly soon. But at 3,000, he's going to be really chalky, but allows you to fit in more expensive players. And I think, the one thing you don't really want to do is like, oh, I'm going to fade this person, I'm going to get this because they're really low ownership. I think, on a 3-game slate, if let's take, for example, yesterday on a 12-game slate, there are multiple paths to victory. I think, you can use a couple different lines and still cashed heavily. I mean, I didn't have any Malkin last night, and I was deep into the money. So, but on a 3-game slate, if you say you fade Matthews and he gets 2 goals and assists, you're probably screwed because he's going to be 45%. So you really have to make a decision. You're really going to have to take a stand. And I'm more towards playing him than not, just because the matchup is just insanely good. I'll try to differentiate elsewhere. Normally, what you do on short slates is go with cheap defenders because most people try to pay up, for Burns and John Carlson. But the thing is, like Zaitsev, if he's on the power play at 3,000, he's going to be chalky. So I think a way to differentiate yourself is paying up for defensemen, like 2 defensemen, trying to fit in Burns and Carlson. We're trying to fit in like Ghost or Provorov, something like that. But but this matchup's too hard to ignore. But if you want to go, Kadri, um, that line, I think that's fine as well. Also, the Bozak line is good as well. They'll definitely be lower owned, and I think that's a way to also get contrarian in a game that's going to have high ownership. On the Islanders side, you got to look at lines because I know Ladd is back, so there's no confirmation where he's going to play, if he's going to slot in back on the second line, and Beauvillier is going to move down. So that's kind of up in the air, but they are the first game, so I think you can obviously hold out as long as you can. Ladd is $1,700 cheaper than Beauvillier on DraftKings, so it does make New York Islanders too price-wise a little bit more attractive. I think Beauvillier is a better player than Ladd, but it remains to be seen what lines. Also, Islanders back-to-back on the road. They looked sluggish yesterday, losing to the Panthers. I don't know. This is a high over-under game, so I think if you do want to, I think the Islanders are going to be way less owned than the Maple Leafs. So if you're looking for exposure in a high over-under game, yeah, they did, but the Leafs have had 5, so maybe they come out sluggish. There was a lot of choppy hockey last night, so you expect to see some more choppy action tonight with the fresh teams. Yeah, they are also bad. But I don't know. If you want to go back to the Tavares line, I think they're a little bit overpriced in my opinion. I kind of like Freddie Anderson tonight, but I'm going to avoid Thomas Greiss. I mean, if you're making multiple lineups, even if you're making like 3, I maybe would have one Greiss. It's not for leverage purposes. It's just he's going to be super low owned, and the Leafs are going to pepper him. So if he does sneak a win, he could be the play. I mean, there's 6 goalies. If you get the goalie, I mean, you're more than likely not going to win a GPP if you get the goalie wrong tonight. So while Freddie Anderson's probably my top choice tonight, I'm not crossing anybody off on a short slate. But for me, this is a Toronto game. I like I like the 3 lines on Toronto. I'm kind of mum on the Islanders top line. If Ladd is on the second line for the Islanders, price-wise, it's okay. But I'd much prefer it to be Beauvillier. Konechny and Mantha. I prefer Konechny, but yeah, to me, yeah, I like the Flyers' top line. I also really like the Flyers' second line, but we'll get to that. So let's move on to the next game of the night, where we have the Sharks traveling to Detroit to face the Red Wings. It's going to be Peter Mrazek against Aaron Dell. You don't messed up, Aaron. Yeah. Let me check it out here. What we got for lines? It's a Zetterberg, Nyquist, and Mantha, and then Larkin, Bertuzzi, and Athanasiou. For me, I probably go Athanasiou. I like Detroit. I mean, like, I don't like Detroit as a team. I think they're a terrible team. I think, from top to bottom, like management to the players. I will say they do have some talented second lines. Larkin, Mantha, Bertuzzi, Frick, like that kind of stuff. Athanasiou is one of my favorites. But their blue line's just disaster. Their goaltending has been very good. So for me, if I'm gonna, go at this game, the line that I probably want to use is Larkin, Bertuzzi, Athanasiou. I do kind of like the top line, Zetterberg, Nyquist, and Mantha, but Zetterberg doesn't really do too much for me. Um, the guys on the blue line don't do too much for me. Uh, I don't know. I just don't think Blasill's a good coach. There's all that, but for me, it's going to be Larkin, Bertuzzi, and Athanasiou. On the Sharks side, oh yeah, Cronwall, just lock him in everywhere, and just collect your AARP money. On the Sharks side, um, it's kind of a toss up here, but Couture is one of my favorite players on the Sharks, so I think it's going to be Couture, Meyer, and LeBanc. Even though I'm not a huge LeBanc guy, if you want to go like a mini stack, I think the third line of Hurdle and Donskoy is attractive to me. You can fit them in with Burns, but for me, I go to the top line. Yeah, LeBanc is a vagina, but whatever. He's cheap and he scores sometimes. So that's my awesome analysis on Kevin LeBanc. He's cheap and he scores sometimes. I don't mind Pavelski, but his line mates are just not good. I think you can power play stack. The problem is Couture, Pavelski, and Hurdle are all centers, so it's kind of hard to do unless you burn your utility spot and not play any other centers from any other team. But this is definitely a Brent Burns game. I don't care they're on a back-to-back. He's still only 7,200, which is a fair price for him. There's times he was up over 8,000 last year. The Red Wings blue line is just terrible. And I know Mrazek has been playing well, but the Wings haven't played in 5 days. You expect a little choppiness, a little overzealous. I haven't really dug into it yet, but I would imagine there are some really cheap guys. I mean, you probably definitely have to use Zaitsev. I mean, Donskoy is 3,500. Hurdle's only 5. I mean, there's ways to do it. So I like Aaron Dell tonight. I think he'll probably be a little more relaxed now that Martin Jones took over the starting job back, and I think I mean Roslovic he's a good talent. I still prefer Kyle Connor up there until he gets some more playing time, but I think Dell is a decent GPP option. You kind of saw he kind of shit the bed with his starting opportunity. I don't know if he was just hitting a wall a little bit, wasn't used to playing time. I guess that's why everyone keeps why the coach keeps starting Martin Jones, and I think Dell will end up being a starter in this league. Maybe just not this year, but anyway, Aaron Dell is in play for sure. I like Mrazek if you're using the Red Wings. I do like attacking, teams back to back on the road, even though it is the Sharks. I think there's some merit to it. So, I can't even see his price, but both these goalies are in play. I much prefer Dell. I wouldn't just plug in Mrazek as as the goalie if you aren't using Red Wings. I'd much prefer to correlate. Dylan Larkin is a one-off. I don't mind it. He doesn't shoot enough. I much prefer. There you go. I kind of prefer Athanasiou as a one-off. He's a little bit cheaper. He shoots the puck more. He's much faster. I don't know if he's much faster. Larkin can fly too, but Athanasiou shoots the puck more. But I don't mind Larkin as a one-off if it fits for you. Don't let me talk you off of him. It's a short slate. So let's move on to the last game of the night, We have the Philadelphia Flyers traveling to Washington to face the Senators. It's going to be or Washington to face the Capitals. I think it's going to be Holtby against Neuwirth. I really don't want to use Washington tonight. I don't think they're going to be very chalky. I think the top line for Philly is going to get some ownership because they're similarly priced. I think, let me look. 17.4. 14. They're 3,000 cheaper because Patrick is really cheap. I think people will use that line, but I also think people are going to put in like the Detroit line. Washington 2 is pretty cheap. You know, after Toronto, I think ownership's going to be fairly spread out. I definitely wouldn't, fade them because of ownership concerns. For me, I do like the Ovechkin line tonight. I don't know if it's necessary. It might be a nice contrarian pivot off of Matthews if you're going down that route. Ovechkin can always put up a multi-point game. I think you're going to get him at fairly low ownership tonight. Everyone's going to be on Matthews. Everyone's going to try to fit in Burns. Everyone's going to be on, the Flyers top line. I think Ovechkin may go overlooked a bit, and this is actually a really good spot for him. So I think you can go there. Let me just pull up the lines really quick. There we go. So yeah, I mean, I don't know who Ovechkin and Kuznetsov is going to match up against, but if it is that second line of Patrick, Simmons, and Voracek, that's definitely favors the Flyers, even though, Patrick is a rookie. That line is just not good defensively. Either way, I think the top two lines for the Flyers are in play. Both the top defensemen are in play. I think if you're using the second line, I prefer Provorov. I do like the second line of the Capitals as well. I think they're going to be a little bit popular just because Burakovsky is cheap and in a decent landing spot. So Backstrom, Burakovsky, and Oshie. I love Burakovsky. I'm probably going to play him tonight, even if it's just a single bullet. I love Burakovsky. I think, if he shoots the puck and is aggressive, he definitely can make some noise. John Carlson, 6,400. That's a bit expensive. I'd much prefer to go, Provorov at 5,100 or Ghost at 5,400. Holtby at 8,300 is a tough pill to swallow for me in GPPs. I don't know if I want to go there. And then, Neuwirth at 7,100. He's cheap. He's going to see a decent amount of shots. I think if you're using Flyers and you need, the savings to correlate, I think you can go there. I don't really want to, take any goalies off the table tonight. There's nothing. There's none that really stick out and go, I don't want to play. Maybe other than like Grice. But also Grice has, the ability to, stand on his head, but so does any goalie really on any slate. So if you're crazy enough to be playing cash tonight, I think Freddie Anderson is the cash goalie. Freddie Anderson's also my top GPP goalie. I think I'd go Freddie Anderson, Dell. I would imagine he's under 5%, yes. I think, you're looking at, in certain GPPs, you're going to see Matthews above 40%. And then you're going to see the other Leafs, 15, 20, 25, something like that. So, no one's going to be using Grice. So I think, I don't know, you want to call it the ultimate leverage play. I think, goalie leverage comes more into play on a short slate than, it has no real effect on a big slate. But, if you want to sub 3% goalie, he might even be like 2%. You want to take a chance and hope he wins. I mean, for it to. I'm watching close. I also have it's formula. Just relax. It's in the hospital. I have a lot of laundry to do. I'd claim it if it was mine. But, now I lost my train of thought. Maria was over. There you go. Oh, so, for Grice to pay off, even at his percentage, um, he still has to be the play. Like, you're not going to win a GPP with Grice, even if he gets the win. Say he gets like 7.2, but Dell has a 30 save shutout and gets 11. I don't know. The top line is probably going to stay together. The question mark is the second line. Is Ladd going to slot back in for Beauvillier, or is Beauvillier going to stay there and Ladd's going to be with like Brock Nelson or something like that? So that is that on the 3-game slate. Yeah, there's no confirmation yet, though. I think you can punt Mayfield, yeah, for sure. He's cheap. He's going to be a low owned, too. Oh, boy. All right, guys. That will do it for me today. We'll be back tomorrow for a nice big Thursday slate. If you have any questions, yeah, I didn't have any Pelich, but it was a nice goal. I was watching the Islanders game for some reason. If you have any questions I didn't get to them, you can get me on Twitter. I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Good luck tonight.